Welcome back to Wargaming World, to France 1940, and to a new game of Chain of Command. For everybody who follows the Wargaming World channel, you will have seen that this is the new tabletop. It's been a lot of upgrades here, and you might well also have seen the video as I ran through all of the additions and improvements. So this is the first game I've played on here, first opportunity to show it off really, and in addition there's going to be some new figures on the table as well, and as well as some other bits and pieces that are going to improve the game, I think. This game's a battle between the BEF and the Germans, fighting for this footbridge. Both of them are going to be on the offensive. Both want this bridge before nightfall. So I'm going to set a couple of house rules as well as this this game, so we can see how the game goes. But yes, everything is for this central feature. Now the river covers it's exactly halfway of the board, and you'll see across us we've got really 2 points of crossing the river. One is a semi-shattered footbridge. It's the nearest to you. Now the forces can get across this, but it's going to be difficult going. However, the target is the bridge in the middle, and the victory condition is going to be that at the end of turn 3, whichever force have a section, squad across to the other side of the river will be victorious. The reason why I've set these conditions for the game is that I want to see that it's interesting both as a solo player and for the audience, that we might have some dramatic effects and events which mean that the game actually changes from one stage to another. I want to try and avoid the situation where the game peters out, where one side is simply overwhelming the other, and instead is just to add something something fresh and something unusual, where we might see a sudden dash by a particular unit to win the game, and to see that we've got a surprising result, irrespective of the fact that somebody's force morale, for example, could be considerably lower than another. So that's the dynamic. Now, if neither side has got across by the end of turn 3, I'm going to do something as simple as roll a dice. So I'm going to roll a dice to see which gets a minor victory, and again, therefore that means that there's always the need to try and get across the bridge, even if as we get towards the end of the third turn it might be a bit of a suicidal run. But either way, let's just see how the game goes. Now in this game the British are going to get 14 support points and the Germans are going to get 9. So let's just have a quick look at the force itself. The British are led by their two senior leaders here, one with pistol and one with rifle. The HQ also have the 2-inch mortar with 2 crew, and then we also have our boys team. Now the 2 crew come from the 3 sections, so the sections themselves will have 7 infantry as rifles, although 2 will have 6. So as I mentioned, the British have 3 sections. They have essentially a Bren team with 3 men, and as I mentioned, the rifles, which are normally 7 rifles, and we reduce it by 1 from 2 of the sections, so they now have 6. And then we have a corporal who is our junior leader, so 3 of these sections. So we've got 14 support points, so we're going to start off with 3 points for a Bren team. Now I know this might well be a universal carrier, but it's the model that I've got, so this is what we've got. We've got 2 crew with a Bren gun and a junior leader. Also got a 2-pounder, so our 2-pounder we've got with 5 crew and a junior leader. That costs us 4 points. Now that we've used 7 points so far, we're also going to have a pre-game barrage, so that takes us to 9. And then we have another 5 points. And the 5 points is going to be spent on something new to the table. It's going to be a Royal Navy section. So the 5 points are going to be including a junior leader. We've got a Lewis gun with one support and 4 rifles. And then I'm going to have another different team to it. This unit of 3, this team have got some petrol bombs as well. So they're going to be a bit of a tank hunter. And I thought I'd just chuck that in. So that's going to be our British force for today. Okay, let's take a look at the German forces. So it's HQ, this is going to be a first wave German force, so this is going to be as good as it gets, really. We've got our 2 senior leaders, one with a submachine gun and one with a pistol. And we also have the mortar team, the 5cm mortar team. Okay, so the Germans also have 3 squads. If we go from right to left, we can see that we've got the junior leader at the front with a submachine gun. We then have the MG-34 machine gun team, that's with 3 crew. And following up, we have 6 rifles, so 3 squads of that makeup. Now the German units themselves are 5 points more than the British. Therefore, the British had 14 points for support. The Germans have 9. So the 2 items that I've selected is a Pak 36 gun with 5 crew and a junior leader. And then in the background here we've got a Panzer II, which is 5 points. So 4 for the Pak 36 and 5 for the Panzer II. Now, one of the things I've done off camera is the patrol phase and the jump off points, so I can show you where they are, just to save a little bit of time, I think, for the game. So on the right hand side of the table, we've got the first jump off point at the end of the road here, which is where the vehicle must come in from. Secondly, there is one here, just at the edge of this courtyard area. And thirdly, on the right hand side, we've got one here at the edge of this field. Left hand side, we've got the jump off point again where the vehicle must come in from. Here, just at the edge of the cemetery. Thirdly, one at the edge of the watermill. Reference to vehicles and sides, etc., because the one thing I haven't done is determine which side the German and BEF will come in from. So, very simply, I'm going to roll a dice. 1, 2, 3. The Germans are on the left-hand side of the bridge. 4, 5, 6. It's on the right. And there we go. It's on the left-hand side. Last thing we need to look at is force morale. So, British green dice, Germans black dice. All right. Nobody's that keen on the fight, it would appear. Both of them starting with an 8. As a result, I'm going to see who gets first phase. It's going to be one of those games. Right, Germans. Okay, phase 1, first turn, and it's the Germans. And so we've got 2 3s, a 1, a 5. The chain of command dice to bring it on to 1, and a wasted 6. Now I want to bring on a squad to occupy the watermill, but of course the British have a pre-game barrage, so I need to roll to see whether I can. I need a 4, 5 and 6 to occupy the building, and yes they can. Again, I want to bring on the Panzer II as well, so I need to see whether that can get through the barrage. No, it can't. A squad who've deployed inside the watermill, so within 6 inches of the front here, we've got a machine gun team who are going to be in the upstairs window, and they are going to be on Overwatch. That's the British phase, and we have 2 4s for senior leaders, a 3, wasted 6 really, and 1 for the chain of command dice, similar to the Germans. Okay, with the 3 and a 4, I've deployed a British section and a senior leader, tempting the Germans to fire on Overwatch in the watermill, but choosing not to. So that's the only use of the British here. So we turn to a German phase, and lots of options there. 3 3s, a 1, and another for the chain of command dice, which goes up to 2. Okay, so I've got 3 3s, so let's see if we can deploy the Panzer II. Failed last time, and failed again here. Have a second go, and that's successful. And coming in from this jump off point is the Panzer II. With the other 3, I want to see if I can bring on another squad, and that's successful as well. Okay, with the 3 I've deployed the German squad here in the orchard, and I should have mentioned actually with the British too that both they and the Germans here are going to be moving tactically. Actually, with the 1, there is something else I can deploy. I can deploy the mortar team, so let's see if we can do that successfully, and we can. I've actually deployed the mortar team to move up with this squad. There's a lot of dense terrain on the table, so I think if it's too far away, it's going to be unsuccessful, so it's going to advance with this one, and that's the end of the phase for the Germans. I'll move to a British phase, and a British double phase, along with a 1, a 3 and a 4. Okay, so with the 3 we've brought on the Bren carrier. With the 4, the senior leader has ordered this unit up to the hedge. They moved at the double and got a 10 with the roll. The senior leader's then taken the shock off. And finally with the 1, brought in a mortar team and is going to fire smoke towards the water. To drop a smoke round here where the green dice is. Let's roll for that. That's a 6, it's right on target. Okay, so that's very useful. So plumes of smoke coming up from that spot. It's going to obscure those windows there, so I'll have a think about what we do with the Germans in the watermill. Second British phase, and the way I do it for anybody who hasn't watched my games beforehand is that when we have multiple phases I drop down by 1 on the dice, so we just have 4 dice for the roll for the British here. Okay, so 2 more for the chain of command dice. That takes it up to 3 and a 1 and a 2. 2 and the 1 together. I'm going to move the Bren carrier. It's 2d6 plus 2 inches for each dice. I'm not going to go flat out because I want to make a turn. So we get 8 inches in total. So the Bren ends up here, and it's the German phase. Okay, German phase. A German double phase. 1 for the chain of command dice, so that takes it up to 3 as well, and we've got a 3 and a 4. Right, with a 3 we're going to move the Panzer II. Okay, so it's 8 inches and you get another inch per dice, so we've got 10 inches. So move the Panzer II to here. I'll point out that I've moved the fountain that was here, because otherwise it was going to make, we were going to have to have taken a test to see if the Panzer II could get over obstacles, and I dare say it might have got stuck. So I've manoeuvred it so we don't need to take a test, because I don't need to make a test for the Bren carrier at the other end, so it has to be fairly equal. So that's where the Panzer II has got to. I want to bring on a senior leader. Can we do so? Yes, we can. 4 have brought on a senior leader, so we're going to move the squad to the front if we can. We're going to try and move further forward to get within 4 inches of this stone wall, and they'll be able to fire at half effect. They'll also then be able to direct the fire of the mortar too, so that's what we're going to do with the senior leader. Squad, and we want anything but a 1 to be able to fire, but it's the 1. So they don't advance near enough to the stone wall to be able to fire, and therefore they also can't observe the British to direct the mortar. Right, well that was a bit disappointing for the Germans, so again 4 dice for next phase, and so we've got a 2, 3 and a 4. Right, with the 3 I'm going to manoeuvre the Panzer. So we've got 6 inches in total. Move the squad so they can get up to the stone wall and then fire at half effect. Okay, first firing. It's only 7 dice because it's half effect. Needing 4s. And that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Now, I'm just going to highlight a rule that I get wrong on a regular basis. We've just taken 2 hits, and the way it now works is that this section has 2 teams. So from the hits we've taken, 1 will be on the Bren team and 1 will be on the Rifle team. We then need to roll them separately to see what the consequence is. If we'd have taken 1 casualty, or 1 hit I should say, then I could have chosen which team take the hit, whether it's the Rifles or the Bren team, because they are in cover. If they weren't in cover, then the German player could choose which of the 2 teams was hit with that single fire. So we need to roll and see what the consequence is for both teams. So the Rifles in soft cover, that's a kill, and the machine gun team in soft cover, there's no effect. I need to check is it the leader? So with a roll of a 1, it's the leader as opposed to the rifleman. No, it's not. Also fire the mortar, needing 4, 5s and 6s, and that's 2 hits. And the casualty is going to be 1 on the rifle team and then 1 on the machine gun team. So we'll do rifles first. That's no effect. And this time on the machine gun team, 4 is a point of shock. I'm going to mention too that with a 3, the Panzer II could also fire, and the only thing is that I think it's a little close to the infantry that have just moved into position, and I think as it's just sort of clambered over this area here, I'm not going to fire because I don't think it's got good line of sight. So it could have done, so I am pointing that out, but I'm just going to stop here and pass to the British phase. Right, so British phase, double phase again, 2 3s and a 1. After some deliberation, I have deployed another British section on a 3, and also deployed a boys team on a 1. So with the other 3, I'm going to fire with 5 rounds rapid with the section, the frontier, back at the Germans who fired at them. Okay, so we've got 14 dice, which is 6 for the Bren team, 6 for the Rifles, and 2 for the command, needing 4, 5s and 6s. So we've got 8 hits in total, so that's 4 on the machine gun team and 4 on the rifle team, and they're behind hard cover, so it's 5 will be a shock, 6 to kill. Black dice are the machine gun team. That's very effective. So we've got 2 in the machine gun team killed and 1 rifle. Need to test if it's the leader. 3 and a leader is a casualty. No, it's not. Second British phase with 4 dice. Not very effective. So 2 to the chain of command dice, which takes it to 5, and a single 3. Well, we're just going to repeat the fire that we've had a moment ago. So 14 dice, needing 4s. 6 hits, so 3 on the machine gun team, 3 on the rifles. Black dice again, the machine gun, and 5 is shock, 6 to kill. Well, that's certainly a lot less effective. So it's the end of the British phase, turning to the Germans. So we've got 1 for the chain of command dice, taking it up to 4, 2 2s and 2 4s. The first 2, the squad in here has gone off Overwatch, and there's movement with the rifles and the machine gun up towards these 2 windows. And over here the squad is going to fire, so we've got 5 rifles and the machine guns, that's 13 dice. And then with the senior leader, he's going to reallocate the unit, so he's going to add a couple of rifles to the machine gun team to make sure we don't lose that machine gun team. And also he's going to order the mortar to fire. So we've got 13 dice needing 4s. 6 hits, 3 on the rifle team, 3 on the machine gun team. It's in soft cover, so it'll be 4-5 is shock, 6 to kill. The green dice will be the machine gun team. So that's 2 points of shock on the Bren team and a point of shock on the rifles. Mortar team needing 4 5s and 6s, and that's no effect. Just want to highlight another rule which I've fallen foul of previously on previous videos. You can see now that the Bren team have 3 points of shock and the rifles have 1. Now, if that goes to 4 or 5, for example, on the Bren team, then what I've previously done is to say that the Bren team is pinned but the rest of the section is fine, and that's not the case. Actually, the section is viewed as a whole, so therefore the shock is shared, and so that it's 4 across the section, so therefore it wouldn't be pinned. And naturally, when it fires, we have deductions in terms of the shock. So with 4 across the section, you would reduce it by 2. However, that said, it means that it's not pinned as an individual team. So that's another rule to just to consider as you play. Moving back to a British phase. Another double phase. 2 points for the chain of command dice, so we've got a full chain of command dice and 1 over, and a 3. And so with the 3 we're going to repeat the firing that we've had beforehand here, so it's an opportunity to use an example of the rule I've just mentioned. We've been firing with 14 dice, but now we need to reduce 2 dice because we've got 4 shock in total. We reduce it 1 for every 2 points of shock, so that will be 12 dice. However, I've also realised that I have missed out the fact that the junior leader actually has a rifle, and therefore I should have been counting it in the last time. So I'll just count it here. So we've got 13 dice firing at the Germans, needing 4 5s and 6s. Now here we've got 5 hits, and because the Germans are in cover, they can elect that. What we'll have is that 3 of the dice will be on the rifle team, 2 on the machine gun team. So the black dice will be the machine gun team. 5 for shock, 6 to kill. And that's 1 point of shock on each team. Second British phase with 4 dice. Another double phase. And we've got a 1 and a 4. So we're going to move the boys team with the 1. With the 4, the senior leader is going to order the section to move up, one that's behind him, and then he's also going to order the full section to fire and take off a point of shock from the Bren team. So let's see how far the boys team move. Only 3 inches, and how far the section moves. 6 inches. Okay, 12 dice for the rifles and the Bren team, 4s. So it's 8 hits in total, so 5 for shock, 6 to kill, and we'll have the black dice as the machine gun team. So we've got a kill in the rifle team and 1 point of shock in the machine gun team. Leader. No, it isn't. Third British phase down to 3 dice. Good grief. Another double phase and just a 1. I'm going to move the boys team into position again. If they can move a bit better. Yes, they can, 7 inches. So there's the boys team in position. I'll go in between the 2 British sections. Down to 2 dice for a 4th British phase. And it's just a chain of command point. So the British have a full chain of command point and then 2 on the 2nd, and we're over to the German phase. We're certainly due some double phase for the Germans. Let's see, here we go. We don't get it, but we've got lots of options. 3 3s and a 1 and a point for the chain of command dice, which takes it up to 5. Now with a 3, we're going to have some firing from these windows. We've got the machine gun team, a couple of rifles, and the junior leader is going to order machine gewehr. So we're going to end up with 12 dice firing on the British that have been firing and massing just before the river. I'm going to fire with the Panzer. We're just going to fire our main gun We can't fire the main gun and the coax at the same time, and it hasn't got a hull mounted machine gun, so it's just going to be the main gun and firing at the British. Senior leader's got a bit of a challenge because the rifle team now on the Germans is down to 2 rifles. So he's going to take a point of shock off them. It's going to order the section to fire and also order the mortar to fire. The water wheel got 12 dice, needing 5s. Actually rolled 13 dice there, but we've only got 2 hits. So we're going to say 1 on the Bren team, 1 on the rifles. The black dice is the Bren team. They're in soft cover, and so it's no effect. Secondly, here we have 9 dice because we've got 8 for the machine gun. We'd have 2 for the rifles, which would be 10, but we're losing 1 for shock. 9 dice needing 4s. And that's 4 hits. We've got 4 hits, but in actual fact we've got more than 4 teams, so I'll have to remember this, but we're going to say that the black dice is the Bren team, the green is the rifle team, the blue is the boys team, and the red dice is going to be the rifles of the new section. So they're in soft cover, so it's 4s and 5 for shock, 6 to kill. So the only effect there is the blue dice, which is the boys team, which has a point of shock. Mortar fires, 2 hits. Bren team and rifle team, you don't count for the soft cover. So you get a point of shock on the rifles. Finally, 6 HE from the Panzer II, needing 4, 5s and 6s. It's just 1 hit. The rifles, and there's a kill. Is it the leader? No, it isn't. British phase, and I think they're beginning to get a bit of an advantage here in terms of numbers, firing across the river. Another double phase, and a 1, a 3 and a 4. Just stepping back a moment, it would seem that the British have really got momentum with not just a double phase for this phase here, but also they've got troops onto the table, and as they contest the river and this broken footbridge here, they've started really to push the Germans back. Germans have taken a lot of casualties here, and there's a challenge now to think how the Germans might improve the situation. They've got a section which is almost redundant a little in the watermill, and there's only 1 other section to bring on. Still the first turn, so they're still struggling in terms of the pre-game barrage. And the British have still themselves got 2 more sections to deploy, and indeed both the British and the Germans have an anti-tank gun to bring out. So we'll see what the British do in this phase. With the 1, the mortar is going to fire. With a 3, the junior leader is going to take 2 points of shock off the team. With a 4, the senior leader is then going to order the immediate section to fire, the boys team to fire, and for the section just further away there to move and fire at half effect. Start with a mortar, 4, 5s and 6s. That's nothing. First section with Bren team and rifles with 11 dice, leaving 4s. That's 7 hits. We're going to have 3 on the rifles, 4 on the machine gun team. The machine gun team will be black dice. 5 shock, 6 to kill. And that looks like we've got 1 killed from the machine gun team, and we've got a point of shock on each team. Is it the leader? No, it isn't. Let's see how far the second section can move. 4 inches. They're not all in position, so I'm going to say that we would have 10 dice normally, so we're going to say 5 dice needing 4s. It gives us 2 hits. Black dice is the machine gun. And no effect. The boys team is going to fire at the Panzer II. It's slightly obscured, the Panzer II, so rather than a 5 it's a 7, and it's also low profile, so it's an 8 to hit. That's a miss. We've got a second British phase. 2 3s and a 1. So we're effectively going to have a repeat here. So the junior leader of this section is going to take off the 2 points of shock. Then we're going to combine the 1 and the 3 to make a 4, and the senior leader is going to order this section then to fire. Going to order the boys team to fire, and order the section there to move and fire at half effect. I'm going to start with the boys team because actually it's also got a point of shock, so it's a 9 to hit the panzer. And it's a miss again. The section now has no shock, so it's got 12 dice, needing 4s. That's 7 hits, which is going to be 4 on the machine gun team, 3 on the rifles. 5 for shock, 6 to kill. And that looks like 2 more points of shock on the machine gun team. That's now 6 shock in total across this section, or the squad I should say, so it's now pinned. The final section I have moved, so I'm only going to have 6 dice for this. So again, 4 5s and 6s, that's 5 hits. Now they're pinned, so normally you get 1 improvement, if you like, on cover. So normally it's 5 shock, 6 to kill. So I don't know whether I'm going to get this right or not really in this rule. So I'm just going to say that they're really cowering behind the wall. They can't do anything. However, they could still be killed. So I'm going to say I'm just going to roll, and if it's a 6, then they are killed, but we aren't going to add any additional shock. And so 1 person in the rifle team is killed. Let's just check if it's the leader. No, it isn't. It's the German phase. And that looks like a good roll. 3 2s, a 3 and a 4. Okay, we've got a good roll. So with a 2 we're going to fire, well the section are going to fire out these 2 windows, so we're going to get 10 dice. 8 from the machine gun, 2 from the rifles, and they're going to fire on the British, which are fairly well placed. The senior leader is going to order the mortar to fire and then take off a couple of points of shock. Should have got enough in order then for this particular squad to fire. We've got a 3, so we're going to fire with the tank again, and then I'm going to bring on another section, or another squad I should say, if I can, with the 2. Let's start with that squad, see if I can get them on the table. Yes, we can. Okay, so they've been deployed successfully. Next thing is, let's have a look at the mortar, needing 4 5s and 6s. No, 2 misses. The shock's reduced to 4, and we have 4 men, so the unit is no longer pinned. So we can fire. We need to reduce 2 from the firing, so we've got 9 dice minus 2, so we can fire with 7, needing 4s. So that's 1, 2, 3 hits. 4 5 for shock, 6 to kill. Black dice is the machine gun team, and the blue is the boys team. Alright, so we've got 1 killed at the rifles, 1 from the machine gun team. Was it the leader? No, it wasn't. Tank's firing its main gun, hitting 4 5s and 6s, and that looks like 6 hits. Right, so 6 hits here. So we're going to have 2 on the machine gun team, black dice, 2 on the rifle team, which is green dice, 1 on the boys, which is the blue, and 1 on the Bren team of the second section, which is the red dice. Very complicated. Let's work out what happens. Now from that, 1 of the boys team is killed, 1 of the rifles is killed, and we've got a point of shock on the other section and the machine gun team. Is it a leader? Yes, it is. So 1, 2, 3, it's the senior leader. Yes, it is. And what happens to him? He's killed. Now, the senior leader is killed, but to avoid I'm going to use a chain of command dice to avoid having to test a bad thing. Still got 10 dice firing, needing 5s. That looks like we've got 1, 2, 3 hits, I think. In soft cover, so 4 5 shock, 6 to kill. Right, so the blue dice was the boys, which means he's killed, unless, of course, one of the casualties is going to be the officer. I don't think it can be there, so no, I'm going to say the boys is killed, and so we need to do a bad thing now because we've lost a a team. I'm really umming and ahhing to see whether that should have been to test whether it was a leader. We included the boys when the machine gun team were firing at the broader section, so I'm just going to roll a dice to see if I get a 1 to see if that happened. I can get it out of my mind. No, we didn't, so therefore it is the boys team which is wiped out. I can't avoid taking the test, so team wiped out is a bad thing. What do we get? That's a 3. Let's have a check. -1, so the British are down to 7. Well, suddenly there's a twist. The Germans being effective firing from the watermill for the first time, and then we've had real results from the Panzer. So the Panzer II's really effective there for its with its HE. We've got the advance of a new squad, and even the squad at the front here has come back to life and it made an impact. As far as the British is concerned, that's a real blow, losing the senior leader here up in this supporting the section. So now it's coming to the British phase, and let's see what the response will be. We've had the Germans appear for the first time really in terms of being effective, so let's see what happens in the British response in their phase. So 1 for the chain of command dice, building that back up to 3, and then we've got 2 4s, 2 and a 3. So one of the 4s is a waste because we've lost our first senior leader, but see if we bring in the second. So with the 2 I've brought in a new British section. With the 3 I've brought in the British 2-pounder, still can't fire, it's not near enough to the hedge, but it'll have to be moved further forward. Finally I've brought in a second senior leader after the first been killed, and is going to order for the mortar to fire and both of these 2 sections to fire. All the British firing is going to be here at this squad by the wall. Let's start off with a mortar needing 4 5s and 6s, and that's 2 hits. Reduces cover by 1, so 4 5 for shock, 6 to kill. Black dice to the machine gun team, and no effect. First section needing 4s, and that's 6 hits. 5 for shock, 6 to kill. And that looks like just 1 point of shock on the machine gun team. So the German squad is now pinned. I'm going to do the same as I did before, just to be consistent. It's still 4 5 6 to hit with the other section, which is 13 dice, but in terms of the impact of that, I'm going to do it just a 6 to kill to make a differentiation. So that's 7 hits, so by law of averages we should get 1 6 here. Let's see. Yes we do, so it's 1 kill from the machine gun team. Is it the leader? No. Back to the Germans. German double phase and a 4, a 3 and a 2. With a 3 we're going to get the Panzer to fire the main gun again. With a 4 the senior leader is going to take 2 points of shock off the machine gun team so that they can fire. It's also going to order the other squad to move up towards the wall. And we're going to fire, continue firing out the windows here, and 10 dice firing with this squad. So the German machine gun team, 8 dice, just firing at this section now, needing 4s. Looks like 5 hits. 2 on the machine gun, 3 on the rifles, 4 5 shot, and 6 to kill. So that's a point of shock on each team. 10 dice, firing at the same target, needing 5s. That was 2 hits, and no effect. 4 5 and 6 with the Panzer II. It's more effective, that's 3 hits. Reduces cover by 1. So we've got 2 points of shock on the machine gun team and 1 on the rifles. And finally the squad's going to move up to the wall with 6 inches. Second German phase, and can they begin to bring all their guns to bear? So wasted 6, 2 4s and a 3, so might well see that we bring on the second senior leader. Well, we've got 2 4s, so let's see if we can bring the other senior leader on. Need a 4 5 and 6. Yes we can. Right, so I'm going to deploy him in this building with the other squad. I've just put him outside just to remind me that he's there, so he can be active straight away. So the British are going to come under some heavy fire now. We've got the machine gun, 2 rifles. So the senior leader is going to order the whole squad to fire, but add 2 dice into machine gewehr as the machine gun fires. Senior leader here is going to order both squads to fire and the mortar. The 3 will see more HE fire from the tank. Start with the HE needing 4, 5s and 6s. That's 3 hits. Removes cover by 1, so 2 on the rifles, 1 on the machine gun team. So it's 1 killed in the rifles and 1 point of shock. Is it the leader? Yes, it is. It's going to be the junior leader, I think, because, well, actually, we can have, I'm going to say it's going to be the senior leader or the junior leader, because this, the senior leader is within 4 inches. So 1, 2, 3, it's the junior. No, it's the senior. Senior leader takes a wound. It's a light wound. Reduces his command by 1. A bad thing to British morale, so let's see the impact. 6 is always bad. That's a -2, so the British are down to 5 on force morale. Let's fire the mortar at the same target. That's 2 hits. And that's a reduction of cover by 1. So rather than soft cover, it just means that we have 2 killed, 1 in the rifles, 1 in the machine gun team. Is it the leader? Yes, it is. Senior leader, 1, 2, 3. No, this time it's the junior leader. Let's see what happens to the junior leader. 4, it means he loses a command initiative. Again, that's another bad thing. This time the junior leader being wounded 1, I think might be nothing. It is nothing. I just need to work out whether it was the machine gun or the rifles who's lost 1 man. 1, 2, 3, it's the rifles. Yes, it is. This section is now pinned. So the the German machine guns rather are going to turn their attention to this section. 8 dice needing 4s for the first one, and we see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Bren team are the black dice, 4, 5 shock, 6 to kill. So we've got 2 points of shock on the rifle team. 13 with the next section, squad I should say, firing at the British, needing 4s. That's 7 hits in total, 4 on the rifle team, on soft cover. So we've got 1 rifle killed there, and 2 points of shock on the Bren team. Check if it's the leader. No, it isn't. Finally, we've got 12 dice firing at the pinned British section, needing 5s to hit. That's just 1 hit, and it's now in hard cover, so it's actually no effect. So, that German double phase really impacted the British. We'll see what response they can make. British phase. 1 for the chain of command. That's a terrible roll, actually. 1 for the chain of command, which takes it up to 4, and then 3 4s. And we only have 1 senior leader who now only has 2 commands. So, yeah, very poor for the British. The only thing we can work with, we've got 2 commands with this senior leader. So we're going to get it to move the 2-pounder, which means it's 2d6 minus the lower dice. And then we're also going to order the mortar to fire smoke. This is the target area for the smoke, but let's see if it lands there. No, there's a deviation. Let's work that out. Well, we've got a line of sight, so the smoke does land there. Now, how far can we move this 2-pounder? 5 inches. So that's useful. It can get near enough towards the hedge and fire once it can be activated next turn. But as it is, that's the end of the British phase, and we're over to the Germans. German phase was a useful one. 1 for the chain of command dice. So it could end the turn if they want to get rid of all the smoke. and then we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4. Germans now in the ascendancy, and so I've got some good options. With the 2, we're going to fire with the MG34 and 2 rifles from the top window. The 4, the senior leader is going to take off 2 points of shock and order this machine gun team to fire. 1, we're going to fire with the mortar. 3, we're going to fire with the Panzer II. 10 dice from the watermill, needing 5s. Looks like we've got 3 hits. We've actually got 4 hits, so we're going to have 2 on the machine gun team, 1 on the rifles. Now they are both effectively in hard cover, so it's going to be 5 for shock, 6 to kill, and the blue dice is the 2-pounder that's appeared, which is only in soft cover. Slightly complicated, but I'll just read out what the consequences are. So the 2-pounder has a point of shock, and there is a point of shock for the machine gun team. So 9 dice for the section, sorry, for the German squad. Needing 4 5s and 6s, which gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits. So 2, 2 and 2. Again, well, there's no effect on the 2-pounder. There is 1 killed in the rifles and 1 point of shock for the Brenty. Let's check if it's a leader. No, it isn't. Mortar. 2 hits. Rifle and machine gun effectively in soft cover because, oh, but there's 2 killed, and that's going to be a real impact on that section. Let's just check if it's the leader. No, it isn't. Okay, this section will now break. We've got 3 men and we've got 9 in terms of shock. That's going to be 2d6 plus 6. So it's going to be 12 inches. Section breaks is a bad thing. 4 I think is a -1. It's actually a -2, so the British are down to 3 in force morale. And now the Panzer is only going to fire at the 2-pounder. And that is a total of 2 hits. Cover that. We have 1 kill. Is it the leader? Yes, it is. This could be disastrous. And what happens to him? He's knocked unconscious. Junior leader wounded. 5. That might also be a -2. It isn't. It's a -1. The British are down to 2 with a force morale, and they need to do something desperately. Now, at the end of the German phase, however, we're going to also end the turn, so that it means the British section, which is just withdrawn, the junior leader will need to take a test or a bad thing in terms of junior leader routing. So we've removed the British section from the board, and we need to roll for the junior leader routing. That's a 4. And as it's a 4, it's a -2, so the British morale is down to 0. And that's it. That's the end of the game. It's a German victory, and quite a substantial one. Neither force have attempted to get across the bridge. They didn't need to. And at the end of just turn 1, it is a German victory in France 1940. So there it is. That's the end of this game of Chain of Command. Hope you've enjoyed it. And if you've got any thoughts, any comments you want to make or ideas for other games, then please put some comments on the commentary on the YouTube channel. If you've got any thoughts with regards to the tabletop, this is the first time I've been able to use this new tabletop since my upgrade with the Last Valley. A lot of the stuff here is Last Valley, including the river and the new bridge. And yeah, if you want to put some thoughts in, that'd be great. You can also put ideas on the Facebook groups, which is Chain of Command France at 1940, or there is a Wargaming World Facebook group too. And for both the Facebook groups and indeed for YouTube, it'd be great if you subscribe, help to build the channels, and we'll see what we do next time. So, thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and see you next time.